Hi, I'm Monish Darda and I'm the CTO and co-founder of Icertis, the leader in enterprise contract management. Today, I'm going to talk about artificial intelligence and how it is helping solve real-world business problems in the enterprise, especially in the context of what we at Icertis are really passionate about, which is contract lifecycle management. The possibilities of AI are really nothing new. AI has been fascinating people for many years. Remember HAL 9000, Arthur C. Clarke's quirky antagonist in 2001: A Space Odyssey? That was way back in 1968. But two things have made significant change in the use of this technology. One is the unprecedented impact of the cloud to provide virtually unlimited compute and storage at a very reasonable cost. The second, enterprises just like us are generating a huge, ever-growing amount of data every day, and we continue to store that away. That makes AI very real. It is also possibly the first time in history that technology can be said to be a little bit ahead of business problems. And I'll explain what I mean by that. Louis Pasteur invented pasteurization because there was a problem with the milk going bad very quickly, and it was a business problem that needed a solution. Louis figured out if you boil the milk to a certain temperature, it would last longer. So there was a problem, and there was a technology invented and applied to solve it. Today you look at technologies like AI, blockchain, swarms, 3D printing, and you say, hey, where can I apply this technology and what kind of business problems can I solve? Now this is actually a very fundamental change in thinking and also makes the transformation from, I know what problem to solve, to, now I have the tools, so now I can think of new problems to solve and new ways to make things better. And that is truly transformational and sometimes disruptive. You just have to look around you to see what this means to our social lives, to transportation, even to elections. To get into the nuts and bolts of this transformation, of course you need a platform which is solving an existing enterprise problem, and you also need a platform that allows you to leverage compute and storage very effectively. Microsoft and Icertis have been a very potent combination to do that. The very first bits of code for Icertis contract management that we wrote many years ago were written for Azure. You could say Icertis was really born in Azure. The two platforms together have enabled AI to make a huge difference in terms of how contracts are managed. We manage the contracts for some of the largest companies in the world, the largest automotive manufacturers, the largest pharmaceutical companies, the largest IT services companies, the largest software companies. Microsoft is a customer along with 3M, BASF, Daimler, many more in many other verticals. With contract management fast becoming the fifth system of record alongside CRM, ERP, human resources, and supply chain, it is playing a crucial role in the digital transformation of these companies. So let's peel the onion a bit. There's a lot of hype around AI. The Gartner hype cycle shows AI to be going up the hype cycle. It hasn't gone through the trough of disillusionment yet. But one of the things that is actually creating that hype is the use cases that are surfacing. You hear about autonomous cars. You hear about computers beating grandmasters at chess or mahjong. And you think, wow, the technology is really getting there. And there are so many possibilities. But there is one thing in the enterprise that you need to be aware of, and that is that data is foundational. Without data, AI models cannot be trained and they cannot make decisions. You might say very similar to humans, but at a much, much bigger scale. AI needs a lot of historical data to find trends and patterns and then surface that insight in the right way that you can actually make use of. Also, it is interesting to note that a lot of reporting and rule-based systems may seem intelligent, but are really not under the hood. If they are not learning from data and from humans, they're not really intelligent, and definitely not artificially intelligent. Artificial intelligence is about making the machine more cognitive and also making sure that some of these processes that can run by the machine are autonomous, that they can really run by themselves. But at the same time, you have to make sure that humans can intervene so that the process is managed by exception. So you set the guardrails, you let a process run using these patterns, and if there is an exception where something hits the guardrail or breaks it, a human comes in to make a decision. And when these decisions are fed back to make future decisions better, AI really begins to shine. So the key here is to make the machine smart enough, intelligent enough to take decisions given some guardrails, given history, given the context, and then make it work in such a way that humans cannot because of the data involved, because of the complexity of the data, the volume, the interdependencies. That's when you get to feel the true potential of AI come through. So let us see how AI can help in managing the contract lifecycle. Most people quickly associate contracts with negotiations. Usually a lot of pain accompanies that association as well. So let us start with negotiation. Knowing what has happened in the past and the ability to find these patterns to influence what will happen in the future can really help negotiations go faster and better with great business outcomes. Let's take a very simple example. You're negotiating with a baseball player, you have a few $1,000,000 to spare to sign him up for the next season. Let us assume that you had access to the entire history of MLB player contracts and player performance. So when you're negotiating, you see other similar seasonal contracts with similar players, with similar stats and the terms of the contract. You see geographical patterns emerge. You see patterns in plays against opponents, perhaps even time of the year affecting the contract value. You see risks surface that made other contracts go bad. You see revenue opportunities in restricting marketing rights to certain countries, for example. You can make this contract really efficient and probably close it quicker in the process. Of course, it would be humanly impossible to analyze all these contracts to reveal these patterns, especially when you're actually negotiating the contract, and that is where the machine steps in. And with a technology like this to assist you, it can reduce risk, increase revenue, and improve compliance. And if such insights can be surfaced at the right time, in the right context, this can be transformational. At Icertis, we call this an experience. The Icertis experience for Microsoft Word surfaces these insights right when you're in Word editing the contract. When you're editing the contract, Icertis automatically breaks down the contract using AI into its constituents, bringing structure to a mass of text. It then shows you which clauses in contracts match some of the patterns that appear in this one. The insights from what the organization has agreed to in the past, the current environment, and the surfacing of these relationships can make negotiations go much smoother. Contracting, of course, goes beyond negotiations. There is another life for the contract which is extremely important after the contract is executed. Negotiations represent probably maybe only 10% or less of a contract's life cycle. So having the ability to actually influence how the contract is enforced when the transactions are happening against a contract can be super useful. For example, in a customer contract, you're delivering to the customer's expectations on your commitments and getting paid for it. If it's a procurement contract, you're getting what has been promised to you by the supplier, your entitlements, and the payments are going out to compensate for those. If you can correlate the transactions back to the contract and validate what is happening in the environment surrounding the contract, a lot of good things can happen. Contracts embody the rules of business. Like autonomous cars, they can be made to navigate the business environment safely and economically. Knowing when business rules are violated reduces risk. Knowing that a particular pattern suggests a better supplier saves money. Knowing when to reach out to a customer with a specific solution or a product can unlock hidden revenue. What is exciting is that AI can actually make some and many of these things possible. This is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of how Icertis is making use of its terabytes of contract data, its millions of contracts under management, and hundreds of thousands of negotiated clauses to deliver value to its customers. Applying AI to efficiently manage contracts that enshrine the rules of business can truly transform the foundation of commerce. As we learn more from our customers and the data, we keep getting better at making contract processes better. And when AI is coupled with technology like blockchain, contracts and transactions can actually happen at the speed of business. Microsoft and Icertis have a proven track record for delivering new ways for customers to realize value from their technology investments, and we would love to be your trusted partner to consider how AI and contract lifecycle management can become part of your digital transformation. To learn more, please visit www.icertis.com.